All right.
Great. We still have a few more minutes, so I'm going to go ahead and we'll get started with your introduction, and then we will move forward with your presentation. And your presentation is Connect Your Stanford Collaboration Tools. So Dr. Dong Liang is currently the lead instructional designer for the Stanford University Technology Training Team. Dr. Liang holds a bachelor's degree in computer engineering and has earned a doctorate degree from the University of Chicago. He has over 10 years of higher education teaching and professional training experience. He has taught a number of technical courses for several Bay Area colleges, including San Jose State University and De Anza College. He has designed and developed a complete Stanford Slack self-paced e-learning course, the Stanford Sustainable E-Learning Program, and he's conducted both the Certified Associate Project Manager, CAPM, training, as well as a Project Management Professional, PMP, certification training in-class and online for technology training. So I'm going to go ahead and pass things over to you, Dong, and feel free to share your screen. And you actually now will go until 11:15 for your presentation, and then we will start with the Q&A at 11:15. So the floor is yours.
Great. Thank you, Don. So as Don mentioned, I'm part of the tech training team. So I just want to say I'm really thrilled to be here. I want to make a few comments if those comments haven't been made already. This year, we are all facing these difficulties of learning, and but it turns out to be really working well for us. I was really amazed to see that when I just log in, I was actually teaching another class today. But when I really log into this webinar, I see hundreds of attendees here. This is really, really amazing. I remember we used to hold this Techie Festival opening sessions at the Turing Auditorium. Some of you may know where that is. It's on the west side of the campus. You have to actually physically move yourself to that location. And then the room, although it is a big auditorium, it still has a capacity, I don't remember how much, 200, is that you cannot have more than 200 people in that auditorium. Well, now we have exceeded that capacity. So that's really amazing. So, that's some of the things work, for us. That's really good. And then people are still interested in learning. That's something we are really excited about. All right. So for today's topic, I want to talk about Connect Your Stanford Collaboration Tools. As you probably are aware of, if you're attending this session that technology training, we offer a variety of technology-related classes, and then many of these classes are addressing the particular learning needs of the Stanford community of the tools that is officially recommended. We're using them day-to-day basis, such as Outlook, Calendar, Office 365, Zoom and Slack and Google Drive, and then Smartsheet. There are other tools where we're also using, but these are the most frequently used tools. And then all of these tools we have dedicated classes on them. I don't know, we have, we do have Outlook classes, right? So in each of those classes, we go into a lot of details about how to show you not only just how these tools work, but also how they can work for you to fit them tools into your particular workflow. But something that is less easy to deliver in those dedicated classes is what are the connections between these different tools? Okay, so we do try our best in our classes to bring up the topic of, okay, this is the tool we're focusing on today, but we also want to show you how this tool can be connected to other things. But today, I think it's a very excellent opportunity to basically talk about this in a general sense. We want to look at certain, a handful of Stanford collaboration tools that actually the name exists. These are the tools that is officially recommended by UIT, and then they're sanctioned as the tools that you need to, you're free to use, but also recommend you to use because they have been approved. We want to show you different ways you can connect them. Some of them maybe you are already aware of and then already implemented those connections, but there might be some things that you're not aware of. This, once you after today's session, once you go home and you implement those connections, this will make your work more efficient. Because in reality, we don't use those tools independently. We only use one or two of them. We use all of them, and then we need to connect them to achieve the maximum efficiency. A fair warning beforehand is that our classes are several hours long. Regarding those technology tools, and it's kind of hard to do this on the virtual platform, because we believe the best way to learn technology tool is to actually have a lot of hands-on experience. So when you come to our classrooms, we have computers, we have all those tools set up on those computers, and then we give you enough time when I demonstrate something, and then you can follow along, and then you may encounter problems, and then we can help you to diagnose what the problem is, so to put everything on track. Whereas today in the virtual platform, it is not as easy as that. So I'm gonna focusing on showing you some slides. There's also this time limitation. I cannot afford to show everything in detail. But if you have questions, you're interested in how this would work, and then we can definitely answer those questions. And then we also have custom training as a service. So if you really interested in how do I make these tools work together for my team, we can definitely help in there. So just these are some of the preliminaries to get there. So today I want to focus on several different connections of these tools. One is how do you connect Zoom and then your calendar service. So I use the example of Google Calendar here, but the same principle would apply if you're using I'm using Outlook Calendar here, but if you're using Google Calendar, the same idea applies as well. So I want to show you how do you move from Zoom to Outlook Calendar, and then from Calendar to Zoom. So it's like a bi-directional connection here. And then we also want to focus on Slack, which is a tool that I personally teach many times for the last 2 years. We want to show you how to use Slack as a hub for your workplace. So where you can launch those other tools from within Slack, and then get the information you need from there without leaving Slack. So that's the two focus we have today. All right, so let's just first talk about how do you add a Zoom meeting when you're doing the calendar invite. So some of you may already know this. Just for the benefit of people who are not doing this already, let's just go over the steps necessary to make this work. All right. So when you are this is the interface. What you're seeing here is you're using the webmail interface, and you switch to the calendar view, and then you are trying to do a calendar invite. Okay, and then you're setting up a meeting, and you're sending out those calendar invites. Now that it used to be the case where you can search for a room here, you can search for a room location here, and you can even sometimes book a room if it is if the room is up for reservation. You can do that. But how do you add this? How do you add the Zoom information in this place instead of a physical location? Well, it turns out there's a 3 dots here. This is the Microsoft way of doing things. They hide really useful features in some really hard to find places, and then you have to click on these 3 dots, and then there will be a Zoom button available here. I hope that we have time to show you this in live demo, but let me just go through the basic ideas. Once you do this here, this is called a Zoom add-on to your Microsoft Office 360. So this is an add-on to that. And this add-on, if I'm not mistaken, this is already installed by default to all Stanford people, right? So this menu should be already here waiting for you to take advantage of. The only thing you need to do is you may need to connect your Zoom account. Maybe you need to log in with your Zoom ID and then authenticate yourself so they can use this service. So I will use live demo to show you more detail about this service. But from here, I want to move on to, yeah, this is I have some slides about some of the things that you may be seeing if you haven't authenticated yourself. So if you haven't authenticated yourself, when you click on add a Zoom meeting to this calendar invite, you will pop up this window saying you want to sign in with SSO. Okay, you want to sign in with SSO, and then when you say that, you want to type in stanford.zoom.us. I have a question. So Don, I don't know if this is what's the logistic here. Do we answer questions later or we do them?
Yeah, right. Questions are going to be answered at the end of your session. So the questions will begin at 11:15.
Yeah, I see a raised hand. So I was thinking, okay. All right. So just, again, going over the basic ideas, and I will show you later on. Once you log in, you will be able to add the Zoom information here. You will have the option to either generate automatically a random meeting ID, or you will have the option to use your personal meeting ID, which is your PMI. This will be your personal meeting room. So this is a fixed number. Once you set it up, you can set it up with your phone number, and then you can always remember this is my personal meeting room. It's not going to change. And then this will allow you to add the Zoom information to here. An alternative way to do this, if you haven't done this way, is you have to go to your Zoom setup, room scheduling page separately, and then you have to schedule the meeting. Okay, once you schedule the meeting, you have your meeting URL or meeting ID, and then you have to come back to plug in that information when you're doing the calendar invite. Okay, this will be two separate steps. But if you're doing the Zoom information from here, this will make things easier because you will be thinking about, okay, who are the people I want to be included in this meeting? Because this is a natural process. This is a natural order of process. You should be thinking this way because this is easier. Once you are done with setting up the date and time for that, and then you can just plug in this Zoom information. And the beauty of that is too, you already schedule all this time and then duration of your meeting, and this information will be given to Zoom when you actually schedule it. But if you are doing two things separately, and then you have to make sure that the information you're filling on the Zoom scheduling page is exactly the same on this calendar invite. That could be a different difficulty there too. All right. Another thing I want to focus on is things can work the other way around. What do I mean by that? Is that a lot of you are already aware of when you schedule a meeting, you can plug in that Zoom information. But another common problem we experience every day is this. I know I have a Zoom meeting. It's gonna start in 5 minutes, but where's that invitation email that contains the Zoom ID that I need to use to log into that meeting? You couldn't find it. It's buried deep in your emails, and then it could be the meeting invite. The email was sent out a week ago, or even longer than that, and then there are so many things that already happened during that interval. You couldn't find that email, and then it could be typing the Zoom IDs wrong. Okay, sometimes there is a URL in the email you can click and go to the meeting. But if you're trying to join the meeting on a mobile device and you don't have access to that email on your mobile device, then you have to type in your Zoom ID. And then you basically need to copy that ID to your mobile device, and that is prone to error too. So I'm not exaggerating this. All these things happen to people, and I have encountered those difficulties firsthand until we discovered there's an easy way to do this. Wouldn't it be nice if you can, just open your Zoom app? We're not going to really delve into Zoom here, but I assume that everybody joining us today already know how to use the Zoom app. Wouldn't it be nice that all the meetings that you need to attend to is already in the Zoom app? So that's the possibility that can greatly enhance your workflow, right? You just go to your Zoom app, and then all the meetings you need to attend are already there. So you just click the button, and then you can go to those meetings. So this is actually possible. I just want to show you this the whole thing how it looks like, and then we'll probably go to the live demo mode to show you some nuances there. This is the screenshot of the Zoom app that I have. I took this a few days ago, maybe earlier. As you can see here, I have all the meetings I need to attend to. I kind of masked out those meeting IDs, so you don't want to crash those meetings. I certainly don't want to encourage that. I have today's meetings. I have some future dates. Okay. So how does this work? So once I look at those different calendar events here, if there are a Zoom event, I will have a join button here. So all I need to do is just click on this join button. I'm ready right away into that meeting. So this is something that we didn't know existed 2 years ago, seriously. So we only discovered it later on when we encountered all those difficulties of aforementioned where is my Zoom ID information? I need it right now, and then I couldn't find it. So let me just tell you, you can actually have something that looks like this, and then this will show you three different things. First thing is, it will show you all the events you have scheduled. Okay, you are scheduling. You are the scheduler. You are the event scheduler. You schedule those Zoom meetings. These meetings will show up here. Okay, this is the first thing. And then the second thing is, they will show up all the events scheduled by another person if this person assigns you scheduling privilege. Okay. As you can see here, the tech training and the host, I'm not the host. I'm not scheduling. I am not a scheduler for this event, but I can still see this event on my calendar, on my Zoom app, because this person has assigned me scheduling privilege. Okay. And then the last thing it will show you is, okay, this is an event that I have not scheduled. Somebody else scheduled that, and this person has not given me scheduling privilege, but it will show up on my app if it is today's event, if it is put on my calendar. So I have to distinguish three different cases. And as you see that, you're gonna come back with questions, hey, why this event is not showing up in my Zoom app? That's because it does not fulfill, it has to fulfill any of the one of the three conditions here. Okay. So how do you make this work? You need to connect your calendar to your Zoom account. So you basically do this by going to your Zoom settings page. Okay, this is the URL here, stanford.zoom.us/profile. And then you need to find the section called Calendar and Contact Integration, if you haven't done so. You go to the Calendar Contact Integration, and then you want to authorize your Office 365 calendar account so that Zoom can pull that information from your calendar. Of course, if you're using Google Calendar, you can also authorize the Zoom system to access that calendar so they can have that information. Okay. This is another screenshot to show you, what are the possible things you can probably see when the system will, ask you to authenticate yourself. You will go with authenticate with OS 2.0, and this is you don't really have to understand what is the URL here. You just authorize. So again, let's switch to a different topic here. We showed you how to connect Zoom with calendars, but now how about using Zoom from within Slack? Okay, a lot of you are already using Slack. I don't know if you have ever tried to use Slack in conjunction with Zoom, but this is definitely a very convenient way to use both tools. Okay, so this slide is an old one. We used to say this in the class that first by telling people, oh, do you know that Slack actually has a video conferencing tool built in? And a lot of people didn't know that already. And then we show that tool, and then we explain why, even with this built-in video conferencing tool, sometimes you still want to try Zoom inside Slack. And then there are different, there are differences and advantages and pros and cons. we say that Zoom is a better video conferencing platform because it's dedicated and it has better quality, and it allows you to record your sessions, and then people can, people miss your meetings, they can catch up by watching those recordings. This is not something that can be achieved by using the built-in video conferencing tool in Slack. And then there's also, the recording can be easily shared and then to exactly the person you want to share with. And then there's even transcript that's like automatically recognized by the system. There's an automated speech recognition there. And they will just like match the transcript with the actual video. So you can look at things and then watch those transcripts. So that's really, very cool. But, I want to say this thing. It's okay that you can join a Zoom meeting from within Slack. It doesn't really require any authentication because this is the same thing. If you're trying to join a Zoom meeting, you don't really need to have a Zoom paid account to join a Zoom meeting. You don't need that. You only need that account to be able to host the meeting. So the same thing applies here. If you want to use Zoom from within Slack, you need to authenticate yourself, and then your Zoom login email has to be the same as your Slack login email. So this is the tricky thing here. All right, this is what you will see once you go to the telephone page. I think we can show you exactly what it looks like if I have the here. So go to any channel here. Let me just go to. Is it okay to show people fun from home, or maybe just this? You go to any channel in Slack. Okay, they have changed the interface quite a bit these days. Okay, so there used to be a telephone icon right here in this space, but they removed it, and then it's like they're following some weird UI design revamp here. Now you have to click on the details, and then you still see this telephone icon. When you click on this icon, you will see 3 calling options. You can use this is the built-in video conferencing tools, or you can use Zoom. You can use Cisco WebEx. I don't think BlueJean is available anymore, but these are the 3 tools that you can build in right in here. So I mentioned that you start this call from a channel, and then what happens is once you start the call from the channel, you don't have to invite anyone to this call. You don't have to send anybody the Zoom meeting ID so that people can know where to join this. This information will be posted directly to the channel. Okay. Another thing is if I go to, how about downtimer here? You're here. If I'm trying to, if I'm doing a DM with another person in Slack, the call options here are even more. So instead of in addition to the 3 options available here, I can also call your phone number through Zoom. So this is a new thing. Okay. So let me just go back to the slide. This is a graphical user interface way of making those calls, but there is also a / command way of doing things. So just like you would type any message in your Slack message input, you can use /Zoom to start a meeting anywhere you want it to be. It could be either in a direct message session, it could be in the channel. So these are / commands. I don't believe they have become obsolete. It's just like providing an alternative for people if they're into typing things. Okay, we're already in a Zoom seminar, so it's like impossible to show you how do we launch this into a different Zoom session. But this is what you look like. What you will look like once you initiated the call from within Slack. You will post this message here in the channel or in the DM thread, and then people see that they can click on Join button, and then they will be in the meeting with you. Okay. Another nice thing about that is once your meeting concluded, you have another message here. It's actually the same message. They changed this, and then it will show you all the people who have joined this meeting, and then how long this meeting has lasted. So this is another useful information because if you're launching the Zoom meeting from outside Slack, you really don't have a record of if you have not recorded the thing, you don't have a record of how long does it last, who participated that. Well, that information is available if you know where to look, but it's not obvious as what it is here. Okay, but in order to make this work, you really have to. Okay, this is another thing I want to show you is that they will give you a summary. They will give you a summary here, and then they will post the recording from the meeting into the Slack channel. It does not work with direct messaging, but it works with if you're initiating the Zoom call from a channel. It will post the very conveniently a link to the recording if you recorded that is to the channel. So people in the channel, they probably didn't make the meeting, but they can just click on this and then they go to the recording right away. You don't have to really send an email to those people and then where's the recording, and that will be a lot of hassle to overcome. I see a question asking about how do you make this work? If you do not see these options like the one I show you, you have to enable those options in your settings. So you have to go to your I believe it is let me just see. Go to your settings and administrations, okay, or go to your So it will be workspace settings, I believe, workspace settings, and then once you go there, you will see, okay. This setting is unfortunately not something you can enable or disable. It has to come from workspace administrator. So if you're not seeing those and then you are not an administrator of your workspace, you have to actually reach out to your administrator and then ask them to do this thing. And then once they enable this for your workspace, then everybody will be able to see those options. There's Google Hangouts. How come I don't see that? Maybe I need to authenticate that in my settings. Okay. So how many minutes do I have? Down.
Well, you actually are at your 5-minute warning, so you have 5 minutes remaining.
All right, time really flies. I haven't really got into any live demo, but again, let me just reiterate, given the time limitations here, we do not have enough time to go into all those things in detail. But I would just want to give you an idea of, okay, such things exist. So, and then you can probably start your investigating the matter, and then either you figure this out by yourself, or you can just come back to us, and then with your questions. Hey, I tried to do what you said and demonstrated, but somehow doesn't work. We can help you. And then again, if you're trying to make all these different tools work together for your team to have a better, more efficient workflow, and then we can also help by providing you with the custom training. So we can just go to your place and then talk to all your team members and then set up everything correctly and then explain how you would make things work together. All right. So just for the last 5 minutes, I'm probably gonna skip Smartsheet today, unfortunately. Talk about integration between Google Drive and Slack. This is something that we're really impressed with, very impressed by when it came out. And then you probably you use Google Drive every day, and if you're not using Google Drive, you're using any other cloud storage services out there. Is either Box, or Box is phasing out right now actually. If you're using Madison Box, or if you're using Microsoft, it's a OneDrive, there's Dropbox. All these cloud storage services, they have integrations with Slack. So what that means is you can access all these documents from within Slack without having to leave Slack. And the setup is very easy. Once you set it up, it will work until something's broken there. What this does is I can the time only we left here is only allowed me to give some quick overview of things. It can easily share Google Doc in this channel or in the Slack direct messages. If this file, because Google Drive files have very comprehensive control over our sharings. And then if once you share a file in the Google in the Slack channel, Slack will help you to check the members of this channel if they have the proper access to this document. So this will, relieve us from this tedious work of having to, every time you want to share a document with a group of people, you have to manually add those people to your Google Doc sharing panel, right? You have it's a lot of work. So if you set up those people, the group the team you're working with most frequently, they're already in the channel, then it's like magic. You just drop the file in that channel, and then select, do you want to give people in this channel view access or edit access or only comment access? And then you pick a choice, and then Slack will go in there and then do all the heavy lifting, and then add all these people to the Google Doc permission settings. So it works like magic. So we cannot stress enough. This is how much it will save your time. And then another important feature is you share this to a channel, and then people are gonna come back at you saying, okay, maybe because they're using a personal email address in those channels, and then they do not have access to the file because the file is only shared to Stanford community. They're gonna come back and say they're gonna request access, and then you can grant those access from within Slack by simply clicking on a button. And then you can also, when somebody makes a comment on your document there, if it is your Google Doc, you will get information from Slack, and then you can reply to those comments still within Slack. And then this comment and the responses, everything will go back to the Google Doc in real time. So you never have to leave Slack to be able to respond to comments of your Google Drive files. Okay, so
Hi, Don.
Yes.
We're actually at the 11:15 minute mark right now. Mm-hmm. And so yes. I can let folks know we actually have 19 questions in the Q&A to tackle what we can within the next 10 minutes. And just know if your questions are not answered within these next 10 minutes, please just send us an email, techtraining@stanford.edu. A lot of the things that Dong is talking about today is also going to be covered in our collaboration tools classes that are part of the Techie Festival. Let's get into some of the questions. The very first question that came up is one on saying that these are great tips. Is there a cheat sheet for quick reference? If not, can one be created? And I think this is go ahead, Don.
That's a great idea. That's a great idea. We had cheat sheets from other classes, the individual tools classes. We always have a cheat sheet for those classes. But since this is actually the first time we officially talk about this all different tools and then connecting them together, maybe it's time to make a new cheat sheet and just for this purpose. And then yeah, definitely, I think it's a great idea. We'll definitely work on that.
Yeah, so something that was mentioned earlier is that we are going to be making this video or select the sessions from this session going to be available via video afterwards. So what we can do is we can also point people to some of the resources, including if there's a resource for a cheat sheet, we can make sure that's available for folks as well. Next question that came up was, we've had 4 people wondering, or actually 5 people wondering, if you can repeat the steps to link Zoom to Outlook Calendar again. If you can take a quick look at that in your presentation.
So as I mentioned, there are 2 ways to do this. Either you want to get Zoom information from your Outlook calendar invite, or you're putting your calendar information into the Zoom app. Which way is it being requested now?
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking about adding a calendar, adding Zoom information to your calendar invite?
Exactly, right from that window there, when you click on the 3 dots at the top.
Okay. So, okay, I have an example here. For example, if I want to, this is my calendar interface. As I see, I really do not have a lot of meetings. Once you are done with adding those meeting titles and then attendees, the 3 dots is right here, and then the Zoom meetings here. You can, okay, you want to check. Just you want to check your settings first, okay? You can schedule for myself. I can schedule for John Cameron. How's that? Okay, I'm gonna put a lot of meetings on your in your calendar, and you can choose to generate these meetings automatically. You can use your own personal meeting ID. You can check the required password, because this is gonna be obligatory requirements now. And then once you're done this, you can just go to the Zoom location here, and then you can add a Zoom meeting here, just like that, right? So if you don't like about this one, you can use generate automatically. Okay. So this will give me a randomly generated Zoom ID, which is 11 digits, if I remember correctly. So my PMI is only 10 digits right now. It used to be the random ID is one less, but now random ID is one digit more. So this is how you do it. If you're now seeing this, well, I believe you should see this Zoom app here, add-on here. The only thing that might happen that's slightly different is you will be required to authenticate yourself. So in that case, just like what I have shown here. You have to go to this, login, signing with SSO. Okay, the only thing you need to do is here. It's not that hard. This part is fairly easy. To actually go to Zoom and then fetch your calendar info, that requires more work. Okay. So I think that answers the question.
Okay, let's move on to the next question. This is how to add your Outlook calendar to the Zoom app, as in they said they cannot find it in their profile.
Yeah, that's exactly what we're looking at here. You have to go to the profile, and then you have to look for a calendar and the contact. Okay, let me just try to do this right now to see if we can see this. You see, I have all this Zoom settings as a shortcut here. Okay, so you go to your profile. What is it again?
This is being able to add your calendar.
Calendar and contact. Yeah, it's right here. It's if you see your profile, you go down, it's calendar and contact integration. Okay, if I delete this integration now, I will have to reauthorize. I have authorized again. So this is where it is.
Okay. Next question I have is, how do you establish the initial connection between Slack and Zoom? They're not seeing that when they click on call.
Okay, that's a great question. In order to get the Slack working with Zoom, there are several conditions you need to meet. Okay, first you need to have the Zoom app installed to your workspace. They change interface quite a bit all these days, so I don't know where is it right now. I have to. Okay, it should be here. Let me just browse for app. So there you go. So if you have not installed this, you will be in the app directory. It's sort of like an app store for Slack. And then if it's already here, see this is 21 apps already installed in Stanford tech training. This is our workspace, and then this will be one of them. And once you go here, you will see the settings here. Basically, what you need to do is to you need to authenticate. You need to authenticate Zoom by clicking these things, and then oops, going back to the Zoom page. This is not what I want.
Yeah. So just to reiterate, so when you first click on the app for Zoom, if it's not already a part of your workspace, you're going to have to click on Added to my workspace, and then you'll get an option to be able to sign in with your own Stanford ID or using your Stanford ID to sign into Zoom.
That's right. Once you install this app in your workspace, the only thing you need to do now is to authenticate yourself, your Zoom account. But again, to reiterate something I said in the presentation is, if you're just looking to join other people's meeting, you don't have to do anything. Only the person who is expecting to host a meeting, to start a meeting, they will need to start authenticate the account. Other people don't need to do that.
That actually answers the next question as well, which was how to add the Google Drive app to Slack by going into apps.
It is the same principle here, as you can see here. We have Google Drive. app listed here, all these other app we have installed in this workspace. Again, but the Google Drive case is a bit different. In order to use it, you have to authenticate. This shouldn't be a difficulty. Once you start trying to use this, you will be intelligent enough to ask you to see that you have not authenticated, and you only have to do it once. Okay, there are some nuances here and there, but if you're interested, come to our Google Drive class or Slack class, where we actually give a lot of time into discussing the integration, how to make it more efficient. So right now, we cannot afford to go into much detail on that.
Yeah, the next question is about finding the workspace administrator. So if we made changes, or we want to be able to find out who our workspace administrator is within Slack, and this is something that they changed recently with the Slack upgrade at the very top of the, oh, go ahead, Don.
Yeah, let me just see where it is now.
They've actually moved it over to the left-hand side of the page. It's underneath the people at the very top. So click on the show more, and then go to people. They really changed this around some. So now if you go to the filter, to actually be able to find out who your administrators are.
This is okay. There might be, it always still works. I don't know. This is the search interface. Yeah, I haven't looked at this really thoroughly because they move a lot of things around. So without giving us fair warnings beforehand, but yeah, there's a very easy way to find out who are administrators. Yeah, this is definitely a question that people ask a lot. Who are administrators of our workspace? Yeah. Used to be much easier to find those information.
Yeah, and actually what you have to do is where it says account type, where it says all types right now, change it to, on the right-hand side, sorry, underneath account type. This is where you can see who the workspace owners and the admins are. Thank you, Slack, for changing everything around on us.
Yeah, this is not getting better. I mean, I prefer the yeah.
So there were a number of other questions that people had, and so we want to thank everybody for asking questions that you did. There were actually still 16 more questions. The good thing is we'll have these questions saved, and if you do have a question you really need to have answered, please check in with us at techtraining@stanford.edu. But I want to thank you very much, Dom, for your presentation today.
Thank you.
And we're going to be moving on to our next speaker. And this is going to be Raju. So let me go ahead, Raju, and allow you access to be able to unmute it. And hopefully you're able to share your screen and turn on your video.